Yo, what's going down, everybody? It is Straight Out of Boston here, aka the King of Boston, and today we have episode 2 of my Utah Jazz Association on NBA 2K13, and today we have the first real gameplay of this association. We're going up against the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, the reason I want to play the Memphis Grizzlies is because they're a team that did make a few moves throughout the year, and because this is kind of a post-trade deadline association, considering we use the post-trade deadline rosters, I decided I would show off some of the new players. So if you guys did not know, they traded Maurice Bates, Wayne Ellington, Josh Shelby, and a first-round pick for John Lure, I believe. Or no, they didn't. No, did they get John Lure out of that? I can't even remember. I think they got John Lure out of it, but I honestly can't tell you for certain. And they also did trade Rudy Gay, and I believe they sent Hamed Haddadi over to Toronto as well for Ed Davis. And wow, who am I forgetting? Oh yeah, then they acquired Jose Calderon and then traded him for Tayshaun Prince. I was like, I know they acquired someone else, and I just couldn't think that it was Tayshaun Prince. But anyway, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I'm a fan of that trade for the Grizzlies. I don't think Rudy Gay's a very good player in my opinion. I'm a big fan of shooting percentage, and Rudy Gay just is a chucker who thinks he's the #1 scoring option. But you're never going to win a title with him being the best player on the team. He's going to be a second or third option. But anyway, I think Tayshaun Prince fits into the system much better defensive player, and just overall kind of allows the offense to be run through Zach Randolph and Marc Gasol, who are two much better offensive players than Rudy Gay is, believe it or not. So anyway, and the proof's kind of in the pudding. The Grizzlies have been a better team without Rudy Gay. They were on a 9-game win streak, I believe, recently, and the Raptors have been, equal, not that much better with him. So anyway, that's not really what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about into this gameplay, or what I want to talk about in this gameplay, is my plans for this team. Now, you guys all had great suggestions for the trades that I should make in the comment section of my last video of the Utah Jazz Association, and a lot of them were interesting. A lot of them were like Al Jefferson for Rudy Gay, Al Jefferson for, LeBron James, just something ridiculous like that. Keep in mind, guys, I'm trying to keep this realistic. I'm trying to trade for young players that teams would realistically give up at this point. And I can't really list players off the top of my head. I'm also going for expiring contracts and draft picks. So, deals like that are what I'm really looking for. If you can think of young players that teams would realistically trade, or just think of good expiring contracts that I could probably pair with a pick. And those are probably moves that I'm going to more likely make than trading a star for a star. Now, obviously, I've mentioned before, Al Jefferson and Mo Williams are two guys that I'm likely to trade this season. Al Jefferson's really the only capable offensive player on this team in terms of being able to create your own shot. Gordon Hayward kind of can too. He had a couple nice fadeaways today, but I need to see more out of him if I want him to be a #1 scoring option. So anyway, Al Jefferson really my only good low post scorer, really my only good shot creator in terms of I can give him the ball, and more than likely he can come up with 2 points because he is so good in the post. But I'm still likely to trade him. I don't plan on re-signing him after this year, even though the Jazz might re-sign him after this season. The whole point of this association is to kind of see what I can do with Enes Kanter and Derek Favors, and just kind of move on from that, from the Paul Millsap and Al Jefferson era, because if I do, it's going to be a fun team to rebuild because they don't have many pieces past that. That's really the whole point of this. I'm not saying that I'm not going to, shop around Enes Kanter maybe. Who knows what I'll do with him. I did get DeAndre Jordan, so, Kanter, even though he does have a ton of potential, he's still a very raw player, certainly not a sure thing. Might take a few years. Jordan can be a good filler for him in the meantime. I think Jordan's the type of player that's probably going to max out at about 77, 78 overall, similar to a JaVale McGee. And I'm not saying that in real life. I'm just saying that about the 2K version of those two players. Both guys kind of max out. They seem to max out sort of around the 77, 78 area. Look at Tony Allen with the inbound cheese steal, or the inbound steal cheese, I should have said. But yeah, so, guy that, who knows what he'll do in real life, but I think that Jordan will probably max out at a solid center. And at that point, maybe I'll look to deal him. He still does have 3 years left on his contract, including this year, so I'll have to see what we do with him. And then for the rest of this team, the really only guys that I'm assured about is obviously Eric Bledsoe. He's going to be my point guard for the future. Stud, 81 overall on these rosters. Definitely overrated in 2K, but has a ton of potential in real life. I really like him in real life. He can develop an outside jump shot. He's going to be golden. Tons of athleticism, great defensively, good shot blocker for a guy his size. It's he's had some crazy chase down blocks this year. And just overall very fun, exciting player to use and play with and just watch. So anyway, plan on keeping him. I also do want to see what I can do with Gordon Hayward. He's not a very high overall, but from what I've kind of done with him in the games that I've played, he's been a very capable player. That is John Lure. Okay. He's been a very capable player, probably worthy of a start or of a starting spot on this team over either Marvin Williams or Randy Foye, who I'll get into in a second. But yeah, I really like Gordon Hayward. I'd like to see what I can do with him. He probably might not be a starter on this team when we get it to its championship level. But, you know, until then, he's a good, solid player, and I like him. And I'm a big fan of him in real life. I liked him when he was at Butler, and I liked him coming out of the draft. But anyway, Alec Burks is another player that I do want to hold on to. He's, I believe a 71 overall. He's showed a lot of progress in his first year or so in the NBA. I think he has definitely some potential. I don't think he'll ever be a star. I don't know if he'll ever really be a starting caliber player in the NBA, but I think he's got some potential. He could be a solid role player for us down the line. And I'm just going to see what I can do with him for the next couple of years. Same thing with Randy Foye. Not a guy that I think is ever going to be a starting caliber player for a championship team. But he is definitely a guy that is a good shooter who could definitely come off the bench and provide some instant offense for any team in the NBA. And he did that for the Clippers last year wasn't really a championship team last year, but was a playoff team that has kind of turned into a championship potential team this year. So I think that Randy Foye, we will probably hold on to him for a little bit. And at that point, if you've built some solid backup wings, kind of, you know, if you put Foye and Hayward in there, what we really need to address at that point is who's going to start at those positions. Guys like Earl Watson, Jamal Tinsley, Marvin Williams are all guys that I plan on probably letting go in the near future. Williams isn't expiring. I'm not sure what Watson and Tinsley's contracts are, but they're both veterans who really don't have a place on a rebuilding team like this team is going to be. So that's really all I want to talk about in terms of the roster. We're getting absolutely blown out by the Memphis Grizzlies. Well, not quite yet, but it's going to start to get ugly here in a sec. We hung with them for a little bit, but what we really struggled with was our offense. We just did not have any offense going. I played some of the young guys a little bit more than they usually do. I wanted to see what I could do with Cantor, Favors, and Bledsoe, since those are really the three guys that are going to be part of my core for the future. There's a nice little move by Gordon Hayward, showing his ability to create his own shot. That's good to see. But we're going to end the third quarter down by 15 points, so not a good start. Not a good start to the second half for the Jazz, and we looked like we have pretty much put ourselves out of this game. Always a chance for a comeback. We saw the other night in Miami when the Magic started at the third quarter, I believe, down by 21, and they came back and almost won. But Eric Bledsoe with a sick crossover into the lane for the and one dunk. That is something I'm very excited about with Eric Bledsoe. It's rare to see a point guard in the league these days who can dunk like that. He was in the dunk contest this year, and I think he performed all right. He certainly has shown his explosiveness in the past. So I'm excited to use him. Like I said before, if I can develop his outside jump shot, he is going to be a stud. But Mike Conley is going to hit the and one floater. I don't know why, but those and ones always get called on those floaters in NBA 2K13. It's so aggravating. But Mike Conley's being a very solid starting point guard for the Grizzlies, one of the better defending point guards in the NBA. I believe was second in the league in steals last year, and it was first for most of the year, but Chris Paul kind of came on late. But anyway, so a lot of people were wondering what I plan on doing with DeAndre Jordan, just because Enes Kanter is there. Kanter's certainly not ready to start yet. He's not that good. He's only 65 overall. Jordan's going to be there in the meantime. He's pretty much going to be my starting center until I feel Kanter is ready to start. And at that point, we'll decide what we want to do with either of those players. If, you know, I think Kanter's got a higher ceiling, then I'll probably trade Jordan. If I think vice versa, then I'll do the opposite, and I'll probably look to shop around Kanter. At that point, you know, that's still going to be 2-3 years down the road. Kanter's got a ways to go before he kind of becomes a starting caliber player. But yeah, that's really my plan with DeAndre Jordan. He's still got a 3-year contract, but he's a young, solid player that I'm excited to keep around for at least the meantime. Anyway, Randy Foye hits another 3 there. That gives him, I believe, 14 points on the day, but we're still down by 20 points as we kind of close in on the end of this game at this point. Tony Roden hits John Lure on the pick and roll, and the Grizzlies take a 22-point lead with just about a minute left in the fourth quarter. But now Eric Bledsoe is going to bring up the ball. He's being defended, but he's going to give to Gordon Hayward. He's going to hit the 3 right there. Hayward really, the stats don't really give him his credit today. He had a good game. He really looked good for me. I had a lot of fun playing with him, and I think that I'm going to enjoy playing with him, for as long as he's on this team. So anyway, that's pretty much going to wrap this video. We're going to take a look at the post-game highlights and stats in just a moment, but we do end up losing. I believe the final score was 107-88. We'll take a look in just a moment, but a very disappointing way to start the season for the Jazz. Not that it wasn't expected. We're playing a very good Grizzlies team, but I certainly wanted a slightly better performance. But remember, the first episode of the Pistons Association, we got blown up by the Rockets, and that turned out pretty well considering 3 years, or, the following season we were in the finals. So, maybe we'll do something similar like that. But anyway, Eric Bledsoe was our best performer today. He ended up with 19 and 8. Very good to see out of him, showing himself to be a capable pass-first type of point guard, and he's still got 19 points, which is good out of a guy who doesn't have the most versatile game on the offensive end. So anyway, Mike Conley was the player of the game, as you'll see right now. Very good game for him. Looking at blocking Enes Kanter right there. But that's pretty much going to wrap up this video. So I thank you guys for watching. Hope you did enjoy. So I'm out. Peace.